Hi, so I'm Daniel and welcome to Exxon Racing channel. Today myself and Mr. Damilare would be looking at how the race has been so far, and then we'd like you to come on this journey with us. So
Hi guys,
that's
my
Mr.
name is
Dami.
Damilare. Welcome to Exxon Racing. All about the fun. We'll be having a journey through the first 12 races of the season. We'll be talking about how those drivers have performed in the first 12 races, who really outshone, which team had done the better job, which driver had done the better job, and who are those lagging behind. So questions will be asked, especially from our fans and from the general questions we believe should be asked, and we will be able to give you a review of the past 12 races and tell you what probably could happen in the next 12 races of the season. Remember, it's a packed calendar, 24 races in the season.
So how would you say the F1 season has been so far?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
It's mid-season, so
Yeah.
we are at a very nice place to assess what has happened before and what's to come after.
Yes, I would say this has been to me, one of the best seasons we've had in the last 4 5 years. The season that gave us the highest point. Almost everybody almost had BP was the 2021 season. But now we are in 2025 season. We're having something close to that, but I'm sure it will not be close to 2021 season. And we're having McLaren going from the lower projectile going higher in 2025. They've been outstanding this season. And Red Bull had a very good car, but I think because it's a one-man car, it has been a car that has not really shown its pace. And also, it has a lower window of operation. So Red Bull have not really shown their pace. But for me, I've said at the beginning of the season, three cars are the prospect, and they are the best car from the preseason testing that I saw. I said it earlier in our podcast. I said McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari are the best cars. Now, Ferrari have had a work on their rear suspension. Now, they brought it to Mugello yesterday. They tested it and they said they think the datas are working. Naturally, they won't give us the datas. They said they think the datas would really give them what they think. But let's see if those datas really will prove to be valuable data for them to come into the next race in Belgium and perform.
That's awesome. The drivers, right? Because I guess, irrespective of the cars, the drivers also play a very important role in how this whole thing shapes up. So, how would you say the drivers have been performing? Has it been meeting your standard, your projections, or has anybody really been an outlier this particular season? And then, who are the top three drivers we could look out for?
Now, if you say my standard or my projection, it's not my standard. It should be their team standard. The drivers are entertainers, seriously. Because when you're talking about standard,
Yeah.
the drivers themselves will have their own standard.
Okay.
And they will have a place in which they want to walk beyond. If we are looking at drivers like Lando Norris, in the past 4 5 years, they called him Lando No Wins. And last year, we saw him came out to challenge Max Verstappen, but he didn't challenge. He was not a challenger. He was just a backbencher from Max Verstappen because
Yeah.
he had so much friendship with Max Verstappen that he does not know how to challenge him. And Max Verstappen is somebody that can play with you and go right into that race. He
And
changed.
yeah.
That is how boxing is. That is how UFC is. That's how sport is. That's how football should be. In your
You
club,
can be friends
you can be
outside
friends
the
outside,
field,
but
but
by the
when
time you get in there,
it's game
it's
time.
focused on the business. It is the business time.
Mm-hmm.
So Norris does not understand the business time, and I think this season he's starting to understand it. After like 10 races, he's starting to understand that there's something they call business time. There's something they call crunch
Playtime.
time,
Yeah.
which is play time. You understand? But now I can say the best drivers on the grid presently now still remains Oscar Piastri,
Okay.
Max Verstappen,
Okay.
and Lando Norris. And why will I say that? The top three
Yeah.
drivers, and they've been able to give us a show. They've been able to drive the car to the limit. They've been able to show their skills with the tools they have. I'm not saying other drivers are not trying. Those other drivers are doing their best. They are doing their bit. They are giving 100%. But the problem is the machinery they have is not really helping them to showcase their talent. And I think that has really drawn them back and has not really put those drivers on the pedestal we think they should be. Drivers like Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Isaac Aja, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz. We saw Carlos Sainz last year in Ferrari, he was an outstanding driver. And last year that I knew he'll be leaving, he'll be taking a step back from Ferrari to go to Williams. We saw the
Mm-hmm.
way he performed. We saw the way he made the car look extraordinary. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem was Ferrari changed a philosophy. They changed the car from the SF24 to SF25. That was a project 677, and the
Okay.
whole dynamics, the whole DNA of the car was changed. So that car is now a car that they are trying to upgrade and bring back
So
to
it's
up
trying
to
to be
speed.
remastered now.
Yes, to bring up to speed. So that's where they have. But the best three drivers presently are those guys. But if things change, the dynamics might change because this is a mid-season. And we
Mm-hmm.
remember in 2023, at the mid-season,
Mm-hmm.
everything changed for McLaren. 2023 mid-season, McLaren looked like the team that can win. And that was the beginning of their change.
We are very familiar with in-team drivers rivalry, right?
Yeah.
Have we seen any such thing this season where drivers in the same team are trying to like sabotage themselves? And on the other side, which of these teams have you seen that has the most cohesion, that both drivers are like working hand in hand? And which one have you seen that the drivers are trying to like one up each other?
Yeah. Let me talk about the drivers that have cohesion and the drivers that have adhesion.
Mm-hmm.
The drivers that have cohesion, we can talk about drivers like from teams like Alpine. Can talk about driver from teams like us, but towards end of the last two races, there were squabbles between the two teammates, Oliver Bierman and Esteban Ocon, in that team. But they've worked hand in hand, and we can see the professionalism, how they've lifted the team, though the team had not brought a package this season that should compete in the midfield. But they've been working. For teams like Sauber, they've worked, Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto, they've really worked this season to show that they can grow that team. So I'm talking about Alpine, Sauber, us now. Also, the Racing Bull team had really done a decent job in their drivers working together to take that team to the next level.
Okay.
But the top teams,
Yeah, that's a
the
McLaren,
McLaren, number
Ferraris.
one. McLaren, you can see high competition between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. As in, it got to a point that you would know that there could be tension. We can see probability of what happened with Mercedes in 2015-16 between
Okay.
Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. We might see that come up, but there are clean shades of light that the team might not allow that. Why do I think the team might not allow that? You know, they learn from experience.
Yeah.
At that point in 2016, the team mechanics for Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, they are keeping that as they are ready to sabotage each other for one driver to win. That is the length in which they went. But we
Mm-hmm.
can see that these ones, they are competitive right on track. Behind the track, we don't know if they are looking at their data to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So we sometimes see Oscar Piastri, most times during the weekend, he grows into the weekend, while Lando Norris just stamp on it from the beginning into the weekend. So sometimes as Oscar grows, he comes up ahead of Lando Norris. But
Yeah.
sometimes because Lando Norris comes like blazing from
Aggressive all
aggressive
time.
from the start, sometimes we don't see how that growth helps him to come to the top. But we can see that right on track, these guys are allowed to race
Mm-hmm.
fairly, evenly, no problems. In Canada, we saw they had a problem. In the last race in Britain,
What point did they have in Canada?
when Lando Norris ran into Oscar Piastri
Okay,
and ended his
okay.
own
Yeah,
race.
all right, all right. I think it got some points knocked off or so.
Yeah, it was out of point. And we can see in Britain when Oscar Piastri said they should allow Lando Norris to give him the place back when he was the one that really outbreak Max Verstappen, you know. And we can see that all those things can bring little argument, but I think the team is quenching it.
Yeah.
Let's go to, I think Ferrari, we can see that at a point in the team, because we know that Charles Leclerc had been in the team and now Lewis Hamilton is coming, the car is not performing
Mm-hmm.
the way they thought it should be. Now they've changed the floor of the car, they've got performance, they've changed some part of the front wings, front suspension has been adjusted or reprofiled. They've gotten performance because since China, when Lewis Hamilton took pole in the sprint and won the sprint,
Mm-hmm.
and the main race, the two drivers were disqualified for two
Yeah.
different things. But majorly, one of the car was underweight, the other car had plank wear.
Okay.
So they were disqualified. We saw that Ferrari had not been able to lower the car. These are ground effect cars. They need to be lowered. They've not been able to lower the car to a particular point in which they can race perfectly. In the last two races, they were able to lower the car, but not to that point. They think they should lower the car. So probability is that with the rear suspension they brought now, and they've tested yesterday, probably they might be able to lower that car in Belgium, and that might give them good race. But the two drivers have shown that there will be real bad blood at the point, because these are two good drivers. Lewis Hamilton is going there to win.
They are very competitive.
Lewis Hamilton has gone there to win his 8th championship for probably 9, while Charles Leclerc is out there wanting to win his first championship. You understand? So if you look at the race, the 12 races, they've been hiding that as at a point. There was a point in which Charles Leclerc was like, he was looking at Lewis Hamilton's data to see performance and this. But at the point, we stopped hearing that. We started hearing that Charles Leclerc complaining about the car, giving very dangerous and unhealthy complaint about the car. While Lewis Hamilton keeps saying, oh, they can get better, they need to bring upgrade. Yes, he also is complaining, but not as bitter as Charles Leclerc. And we've seen the marriage between Lewis Hamilton and his race engineer, Riccardo Adami, not really bonding. Sometimes I think Riccardo Adami does not really understand Lewis Hamilton. And, you know, from the culture differences there, the team unity in which they are trying to bring together is not yet there. And I think these two people, they need to bring down their ego, bring themselves to a point in which they talk every day. That would help them to grow. So all those things might not really help Ferrari for now. You understand? And also looking into Red Bull.
I was going to ask about the replacement, Yuki Tsunoda, and how he's faring.
Now, I'll talk about that now. With Red Bull has not shown that they are a team. Seriously, because
it's pretty much a one-man operation.
It's a one-man operation, and the first half of the season, we've only seen, after 2 races, we saw Liam Lawson demoted back to Racing Bull.
Yeah, sister
now,
team.
The sister team, and we saw Yuki Tsunoda come up to the main team. And unfortunately, Liam Lawson has outperformed Yuki Tsunoda. The Drivers' Championship, Liam Lawson is, I think, 17 now, Yuki Tsunoda is 18. After demotion, and you can see that these drivers are struggling. Even an experienced driver is still struggling with the vehicle because they cannot control, they cannot tame the car. And only one driver can tame the car because that is what he loves to drive. That is how aggressive he wants the car to be. But unfortunately, we've seen that car had reverted or resorted to some characteristics of Mercedes last season that has a lower operating window.
Okay.
The car may not perform all through practices, but when it comes to qualifying, it just gives it one chance performance, and it goes.
So is that a tuning issue, or what would you say that is?
It has a very low or small operating window that the car can operate. So when you tune it to a point, it can operate, but when you add or remove, it just goes. You may not be able to handle the car again. In some races, the car will perform on high fuel level, and on low fuel level, the car will not perform. Sometimes on low fuel level, the car will perform. On high fuel level, the car will be nowhere. We've seen Red Bull like that this season. So it has a lower operating window. The car cannot operate to its full extent because they've overmapped the car to a point that the car is just like driven to a point in which, how will I put it? The car can only perform in some certain instances.
So
you understand?
That irrespective of the driver?
I think some part of it goes to the driver and some part of it goes to the engineering. Since Andre Newey left, there has been that void, and the car has not been performing since last year, since Andre Newey left. That car has not been performing. Pierre's chair has done a beautiful job, but they've not been able to tame that beast. They've not been able to make that car look around and see where the car can perform optimally. It's not that there's no performance in that car, there's performance, but they've limited the operating window. And Yuki Tsunoda cannot drive it because every driver has their style.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you are driving to somebody else's style, it takes you time to master it, especially when you are not driving a beast that is hard to tame in the Red Bull. You understand? So that is what I think is happening. And to Mercedes, a top team, Mercedes, we've seen that the drivers have worked hand in hand, but there's still some question because we know that there's a possibility of George Russell not racing for the team next season. The team was coming to, I think, Austria or Britain to give George Russell 2 years banker that you'll be racing for the team. But when they learned that Max Verstappen might have an opening, they were like, let's keep this contract first. Let's chase Max Verstappen. And like I said last year, if that team is chasing Max Verstappen, George Russell
Sacrificing
should forget his seat there. They will sacrifice his seat. And that's why they've not given him a contract extension. So now you can see George Russell facing his own
headache.
headache and trying to make sure he gets, even if he's not signed by Mercedes next season, he can get a seat for next season. And you
How,
can see Kimi Antonelli is
yeah.
more relaxed and he's giving his best. So he's doing a good job. Then to Williams, let me talk about Williams. You can see the drivers now, they're having squabbles because there's an element of I want to be the best. I came from Ferrari, I want to be the best. And there's an element of you met me here, I am rigid in this team. I understand this team better. I'm talking about Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz. Two drivers, but we've seen a lot of question, like I said, the question and the addition, and we've seen a lot of addition in these guys. And that is what we want to see. We don't just want to see drivers fighting against other teams. We want them to fight against themselves because that is what Formula One is all about. And most of the teams this season have given us that. The only team that has not given us that is Aston Martin. It's been a worst season for them, but I think Andre Newey has said he's not working on this car, though he has been checking the car, but he's not working on this car. He's looking into next year to see how he can make the next year car better. But probably I think we've seen Andre Newey effect on the car because in the last 3 races, the car has really improved a little. But still, they're struggling for points. Fernando Alonso is still struggling for points. Lance Stroll gotten some decent points this season, but it still looks like Lance Stroll is not really getting the best of it.
Sticking to that particular stuff, teams, right? Alpine seems to be performing extremely badly. Do you have any idea why that could be? Because the
Alpine,
drivers are at the bottom of the chart here.
yeah, Alpine this season, we can see that at the beginning of the season, it was not good for them, but by the race 3, they got better. They were getting some decent points, but immediately their team principal, Oliver Hawks, left. That team went into a subliminal decline. They
Okay.
went totally down. That team has not been, they've not been able to survive or revive. So there's a probability that former Red Bull team principal might move to Alpine. There's a possibility after he sorted the severance with Red Bull. Still working with Red Bull presently, but not as a working officer. He has a 5-year contract with them, so you feel his contract. He might just be going to office, going back, but he won't be in anything related to Formula One for the team.
Okay.
But if he can sort out his severance and he's free, I think he might probably work on how he can get a good deal so that he will shorten his leave of absence or his gardening time to quickly work with Alpine. Alpine lacks leadership, and that is what their major problem is. They don't have a leader as in a team principal, and Flavio Briatore is not a leader. He's a money person. He thinks about money and thinks about deals. And I think that is where Alpine has messed up the season. There's no leader. They lack leadership.
Thanks for that breakdown. What team would you say has made the most improvements this season that probably we were expecting, that we not even expecting, but you just came up by surprise and like have shown commitment to change? And they had some new rules for this season, this racing season. So which team has better implemented those particular rules and which team is struggling?
I think McLaren is just the best of the best this season. McLaren is the best of the best. They've gone through everything. Even when a lot of teams are saying they have failed the technical direct, they would fail the technical directives. The front wings, when they are changed, they will be less competitive. And this, we saw that McLaren has been competitive. No technical directive rule has affected them. So it means they are a well-rounded team. They've been performing at the optimum and they are right there to perform. They are not there to lose. They didn't come with a package that does not have the capacity to win. And I'll tell you again, a team that has done a quite good job is Mercedes, because for the past 3 years, Mercedes has not been in F1. They have just been a participant. Now we can see they are competing.
What do you mean Not in F1, just a participant.
In 2022, they didn't win any race. In
Okay,
2023, they
okay,
didn't win any race. They were
okay,
able to win 4 races last season.
okay. I think
And we know Mercedes had
I
been
get how you mean
a
now.
top performer in F1 for a long time. So we can see that at least this season they've won a race. Aside from Red Bull and McLaren, Mercedes had been the only team that had won and had taken pole
Mm-hmm.
this season. You understand? So Mercedes had really performed, and McLaren, I think those are the two top teams. Then on the underwhelming team, we can say Ferrari, number one,
Even at fifth and sixth place presently on the list of drivers.
and second in Constructors' Championship. They are underwhelming. They have been able to gain those points. Why? Because Red Bull has been running a one-man team. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
If Red Bull had two good drivers or a car that can perform, that their two drivers can perform
Perform with the vehicles they have.
optimally, then we would have seen Red Bull for probably second in Constructors' Championship and either third and fourth. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but Ferrari has been underwhelming. Then I would say Red Bull has been underwhelming
Mm-hmm.
because they've not really. This is not the Red Bull we've seen in the last 3 years. This is not the Red Bull we've seen in the last 3 years. Another underwhelming team is Aston Martin. Aston Martin came in 2022. They were the second best team up until I think race 14. The second
Mm-hmm.
best team in 2023. They were there. They were in the midfield, but their decline had been like a catapult. It had gone down the trajectory, and it is looking like as if they might be a team
And
that
is this
will struggle
a
all through.
regulation type decline or drivers decline or is it just
I think it's the team decline.
did they change the drivers?
No, they didn't change their driver. They've been using the same
So
driver.
same
The
driver,
team,
same vehicle.
a different philosophy of vehicle. I think they've been trying to improve the car.
Mm-hmm.
With this ground effect car, one of the problems you can have is trying to maximize or make the car better might decline the car. Some teams get it right that they're trying to make the car better and the car becomes better, while some teams get it wrong. When you're trying to
So
make the
like
car
an
better,
engineering type.
it's an engineering type issue.
That moves us to something I think a lot of people want to know about. So are there any surprises we can expect from the teams or the drivers in this second half of the season? And then if there are any, which would it be? Would it be from the drivers? And I think it should be from drivers and teams. So what surprises would you say we should expect? 'Cause I know that it's about surprises, right?
Yeah.
So we're supposed to surprise from teams and drivers. So what surprises should we look out for?
F1 is all about surprises. And you don't want to cut surprises off. Now, if you're looking at teams that should surprise us, we should
Mm-hmm.
look at two teams that have given us news during this break, before and during the break.
Okay.
And those two teams are Red Bull and Ferrari. Ferrari said they will bring a revised floor, a revised rear
Mm-hmm.
suspension, front wing, everything. They'll bring it up in Britain. But fortunately, they fast tracked because of pressure on the team. They fast
Mm-hmm.
tracked the floor to Austria. Oh, they are coming the following week to Britain. They will bring the rear suspension. During the week, they said, no, no, no. They are bringing the rear suspension in Belgium. And I
Okay.
was like, what are these guys thinking? But I now looked at it. I said, they want to test, probably. So maybe they've had an opportunity to know where they will test, which later
Mm-hmm.
they revealed to us that they'll be testing Mugello in Italy, and they tested. So they wanted to have enough data during the break to
Mm-hmm.
improve or see what they can do. But for me, I think they would have tested because Britain is one of the best tracks. It has everything. The long straight, the high speed corners, low speed corners. The track is just one of the best in the world. They would have gotten the best. But I think the team are also looking at the long run because they don't want to bring it to Britain and that part, the parts they brought don't work. And they're like, oh, they are now going from maybe probably second or probably fourth to last, which I know would not happen. But I think they were too cautious. Because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I won't be too cautious if I were Ferrari. I'll come to Britain with those upgrades. We have first practice, second practice, third practice. Test everything testable. So after the race, we now go back to the workbench, do the normal test again.
Mm-hmm.
With data we have, we'll be able to improve. But they've resolved to that. So we should expect surprise from Ferrari. We should expect surprise from Charles Leclerc. At least, if that rear end that they've brought should be able to make them lower the car to the point of at least they can race perfectly, then Ferrari should be back in the game. They should be able to gain tenths. With the flaw they brought, they've gained tenths. They are closer. I think now they look like the second best team. But if they are able to make the car work, I think they would close up to McLaren. Another thing we're expecting is Red Bull. And like I said, Red Bull earlier, Red Bull have changed their team principle. They're now having Laurent Marquez, and they've said Chris Horner has held too much positions. He's not ready to break down his power. And that has also not made the team productive, because a lot of people are having issues with him because he's autocratic, he's this, he's that, and that is for the team. But now with somebody new, we should expect two types of surprises. One, growth, or probably two, degeneration. Now, the team principle was swapped mid-season, not because of anything, but because of maybe Max Verstappen, like the news have been carrying it, or probably because he has lost confidence, or the team have lost confidence in him.
Yeah.
Now, bringing somebody else, he will have his own loyalist. They might not want to work with the new team principle. Probably they might want to work with him, or the new team principle might see a loophole that he needs to fix and make the team better. So those two teams will bring us surprises. For me, I don't expect any surprise from Mercedes, except they want to surprise us. For McLaren, we know they are leading. How would they surprise us with? They are leading.
Are they surprised by losing that leading position?
Yeah,
which I doubt would happen.
I doubt that will happen. I doubt that would happen. But what I want to see is a close competition in which all those teams will be closer. They'll be able to race at the best. They'll be closer. That's what
yeah. In terms of points, McLaren is leading by almost exactly double point, because McLaren has about 460 points, and Ferrari, the second team in terms of position, has 222. So and Mercedes is the third team, it has 210. So McLaren is leading by exactly double. So I don't see them losing so much points to become second place. So I guess by just projections now, you can guess that the leading team at the end of this season would likely be 85% certainty McLaren.
Now, let me quickly break that down for you.
Yeah.
See, this is the mid-season. It does not matter who is leading. Things
It
can
doesn't really matter
crumble
who's leading.
in Formula One. If McLaren don't win any race again this season, and McLaren don't come second or third, they might at the end of the year lose both championships.
Really?
I'm telling you. So all they need to do is, even if they are not winning any race, they should maintain second, third, fourth. Let me say second, third, fourth. Those positions have the maximum points. They're having 25, 18, 15, 12 points. If they can maintain that status quo, second, third, fourth, they will win. Their drivers will win. Because if teams like Red Bull improves, Ferrari improves, and Ferrari is the second best team, you understand?
Yeah.
And they can garner points. And other teams like Mercedes are behind Ferrari or Red Bull, and McLaren's position at the top now goes to fourth or fifth. They've lost the championship. This F1, that can happen. In 2021, Lewis Hamilton was way behind Max Verstappen. It was about 50 points into the mid-season, and we saw that he was able to change the dynamics. Okay. Because one of the things that happened to Mercedes then was
mid-season.
Yes, Mercedes didn't improve the car from 2020. They only removed that. That was the only thing Mercedes removed, because that car was too perfect in 2020. It was too perfect. So the only thing they did was remove the DAS system, brought the car, no upgrades, nothing. So the car declined because Red Bull brought a better package. Ferrari brought a good package. The car declined. So by the mid-season, what did they do? They just brought some few upgrades to make the car faster, and they improved their engine. They call it rocket engine. That was what happened. And what happened? Lewis Hamilton got back into the game. So getting back into the game in Formula One can be like, and that is it. So
So the next race will be happening in Belgium in exactly a week time. That's on the 25th of July, right? Tires. The weather in Belgium. What can you say about tires? 'Cause I know that tires do affect the outcome and the performance of drivers in the event, and
Yeah.
the time they change the tires could determine who was first that will come third or come fourth, or who was maybe second that will likely come first based on how the teams strategically change the tires, right? So what can you say about that? And Belgium, who won last year? Like, who can we look out for this year? Is there a trend we should look out for?
Now in Belgium, you cannot look at trends. Belgium is a beautiful track, and if you are looking out for trends, you can look out for trends in places like Hungary,
Mm-hmm.
Britain, because a Briton will want to win in Britain. They do all their best to win. In
Home
Hungary,
advantage or
home
something.
advantage. In Hungary, Lewis Hamilton has always performed. It's one of his best tracks of every calendar. You don't try to Lewis Hamilton out. In Austria, Red Bull always perform, except for this year. Or any race, Max Verstappen is being bashed out or he
Mm-hmm.
lost engine of performance. So there are places you look at trends. But
Mm-hmm.
in a place like Belgium, you don't look at trends. Anything can happen. And one of the things that can affect races in Belgium is strategy and weather. We don't know what the weather will be now, but in our subsequent video about prediction and preview of the Belgium Grand Prix, we'll be able to look at weather, we'll be able to look at tires they will use. And this year, the tires bringing C6 have not really changed anything in F1. The
Mm-hmm.
C6 tire. They are looking at better tires next year, smaller tires, wonderful, robust tires, and maybe Pirelli will do a better job next year. But this year, tires are still looking like last year tires. And we expect the race to be more competitive because if teams like Ferrari, like I said earlier, brings a package that is strong, and we know how strong the package of McLaren is, and probably we know Red Bull are not going to sleep on it. They want to win something. Max Verstappen wants to win. That's the reason
Mm-hmm.
why he is in F1. So he will do everything to win. So we should be expecting a blockbuster in Belgium. Belgium will spark like a new season, but it's a mid-season.
Yeah.
So a new season of 12 races till the end of the season. So Belgium will be a great race. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, F1 is getting more interesting, more challenging, more unpredictable. If you look at the British GP, certainly a Briton will win. And at a point, it was very difficult to say who will win because weather really changed the whole thing. From George Russell, Charles Leclerc pitting immediately after the formation lap
Mm-hmm.
to run the race, and Lewis Hamilton taking a decision, but his race engineer was not really feeling what he should do at the
Mm-hmm.
right time, making him lose positions. You understand? Anything could have happened. Anybody could have won that race. You understand? Anybody could have won. But we saw somebody that had not won a race or been on podium for over 200 races coming to win his first podium in Britain in person of Nico Hulkenberg. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. You understand? So anything could happen. Those are the surprises that I want to see. I want to see Pierre Gasly. I want to see Bortoleto. I want to see some of these young guys pushing to the limit, doing a great job. Do you understand? That
Yeah.
is what I want to see. And this season, we've seen 12 races gone. Lewis Hamilton, no podium. It's funny. You understand? So
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful season. These are surprises. These are surprises. So they keep surprising us and I want to see more surprises.
So I guess that brings us to one question for the future, right? Because the changes that were made this season were a long time in the waiting. But for next season, that is 2026, what changes can we expect in terms of the regulations? For instance, I think the weight of the car was changed this year.
No, it will be changed into the next year.
To be changed, yeah, to be changed next year. So how do you think what changes can we expect? And how do you think those changes might further make F1 more challenging for the drivers more unpredictable, and more fun to watch.
Now, 2026 season is a revolutionary season, a totally new season.
Mm-hmm.
The cars are changed, the engine and the ERS, that's the energy recovery system, and the ESS, the energy storage system, everything has been changed. So the engine 50% power, ESS 50% power. There is no more DRS. You can open your front wings and your rear
Mm-hmm.
wings. The cars are smaller in width and in length. A lot of massive changes, whole lot that you can not really write off coming into 2026 season.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're trying to make overtaking more easier, especially on tracks like Monaco. That's why
Yeah.
they've shortened the wheelbase and the car size. The weight also has changed. So this is us going into an unknown, something different, something we don't expect,
You haven't seen
we
before.
haven't seen before. And this regulation change might last for only 2 years. Let me make you understand, because FIA is looking at going into V8 engines back from 2028. We don't know yet. They are still looking at it. They are still trying, because this engine that they are thinking they are going into may not really give them what they want. The cars are not competitive, because from 2014 the cars have been competitive, but not like the V10, the V8 engines.
Mm-hmm.
Because we remember in 2010, when the rules changed, they changed the engine from V10 to V8.
Mm-hmm.
Porsche had a V10 engine that they were bringing, and they were able to put it in their F1 car. And I think that was when Porsche
It's too big.
left. So they had to put it in some 911s or some other cars and sold it out. So
Damn.
this new regulation will be totally different. And the unexpected is, for me, with these cars, will they now be more slower than the current generation of cars?
No, with I guess with an F8 engine.
A V8 engine in 2028, they
Okay,
might be
with a
faster.
V8 engine, right?
They might be faster. Because
Well,
in
I
20, in
guess
2014, 2015, what they were running
yeah.
in Britain, the times were more lower than the times they did in the last British
What are they
GP.
running presently for the most part? Most teams are they running mostly V10s or
V6
V6?
is a V6 hybrid engine that they're running.
But mathematically, with a V8 engine, it should be more power.
Yeah, the
That's
F1
if they can
regulations
meet
are
the weight
different.
regulations,
The
and
weight, the
then
aerodynamics,
yeah.
but majorly, if they can get the engine at higher RPMs,
Mm-hmm.
those engines can perform. I tell you,
I think with the
it,
V8
it is an
engines,
engineering aspect, because you can have a V8 engine giving you 400 and something brake horsepower, but this engine should be giving us over a
a
thousand
thousand, yep.
brake horsepower. Understand? So that should make it more fun. And the V6 engine we are going into next year will be producing less power. So that is where the problem is. If those engines can be giving us like 1,200 brake horsepower with the energy storage system, it should be much more interesting.
This brings us to the end of our podcast type experience on Exxon Racing. So, in the next coming weeks, as the events and races happen, we'll give you guys more things like this. If we get more feedback from our fans that they like things like this, and then guys, thanks for joining us. And
And before we leave, I'll talk about sorry, I
yeah,
didn't talk about the rookies.
okay, the
The
rookies,
rookies
right?
have been outstanding this season. Isaac Haja, to me, is the favorite rookie. If he had been a better car, he would have been performing outrightly. He has 2 or 3 nationalities: Algeria, French, and I think another nationality. I think so. I would check. But certainly, he has performed. He has outperformed the car. But he should not go to Red Bull, please. Isaac Haja should not go to Red Bull, because Red Bull is a dream killer, is a vision killer for now, until you see what they are doing next. So I think Kimi Antonelli had been second of the best, though he had some retirements, he had some bad races, but he has gotten a podium. He has done a beautiful race in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Gotten a sprint pole. Wow, second best. Gabriel Bortoleto, what a driver he has shown. Oliver Bierman, good driver. Liam Lawson, good driver. Jack Doohan and Colapinto. I think for me, Jack Doohan had done a better job than Colapinto. Jack Doohan never had the opportunity Colapinto had. And Colapinto has been in F1 since last year. To me, he's not my rookie. He raced last year for
Mm-hmm.
Williams. So I think he has not really shown us that he has the experience this year. So the rookies, I think, the future of F1 is going to be in safe hands. And for the older ones like Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, I think they should not be afraid. Though they still have some years in the bag, age is not a barrier. We can see how some drivers are doing in F1 in regards of age. If Fernando Alonso had been in a good car, I think he would have been performing, you know, and Lewis Hamilton also. But age has not been a barrier in F1. These guys are doing a wonderful job. Like Daniel said, we thank you for joining. If you love more of this, we will be going live very soon on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Instagram. But certainly, we know you love us. We love you. Give a favorable feedback in the comment section. Share this and click the follow button. It's very important. It helps the growth of our channel. It allows more people to reach us. And when you like, when you comment, it makes the channel spread more. More people can reach us and watch the videos. But you should not forget we love you. Thank you guys. Bye.